Hey guys, welcome back to Brick System Brothers. My name is Nathan Masters. Today I want to talk about LEGO cameras. Starting off with a history here, I've got a couple different parts that have been molded specifically for camera usage. And working our way left to right, we have 4360, kind of the standard film camera, kind of just a larger piece here. Next to that is 4595. It's a smaller one. It's almost more of a modified brick than a camera, but it has definitely seen a lot of use in that application. And then we have a couple of variants of the 30089 mold, and we'll look at what exactly is different between these two shortly. And then the last one I have out here today is 30148. And these are actually arranged in order of appearance. So our large television camera was introduced in 1982. It is still in use today, and it has been released in 4 colors. Our black, white, and then a couple of the gray colors is the palette for that one. And then the 4595 was introduced slightly later in 1985, and it's still in use as well. This one is actually available in 8 colors at the moment, so quite a larger color range. If you're looking for something a little more unusual, you might be able to find the color you need with that piece. And then in 1997, the first version of this camera was introduced. So this kind of A mold here, and then this would be the B version, B variant. And just kind of looking at these two side by side, you can see our main difference is in this handle style over here. The first time it was introduced, the handle is much closer to the camera body, and the viewfinder is actually off-center. And then the later version was introduced in 2009. It gave a little more room in between the handle and the camera, and then it also centered up the viewfinder. There was actually a few years of overlap where both of these cameras were being produced and released in sets, but this one officially fell out of production in 2016. This one's still in use today. And before the B version came around, but after this one was introduced, the Adventurer's film camera, as I like to call it, 30148, was introduced in 1998. And this was only around for 4 years. It was retired in 2002, and it was only released in this black color. Both of these cameras have been released in 3 colors, but depending on which one you have, there are kind of some different variations out there. Probably my favorite one is going to be the A variant in medium orange. Was only in 1 set, close to its first release. So that's kind of the 4 different, or 5 different parts here, I guess, that I wanted to introduce. Most of them still in production. This one is retired, and this one is retired, but these 3 kind of camera style pieces are still going strong, even though these 2, not a lot of color options if you're looking at going beyond the standard kind of neutral basic black color. So that's kind of the base parts here. Now this camera and the Adventurer's film camera as well, there's a couple of printed tiles that pair up nicely with these. Let me grab those and we'll discuss that for a second. First printed tile is a 1x2 with some film reels on here. It's kind of a fun one. This can double as a tape deck, but it definitely has its application on this part as a film reel. There's a nice 1x2 studded area on this camera to apply that directly. And you know, back in the day, things were recorded on magnetic tape, so that fits the aesthetic of this camera very nicely. Minifigures can grip it down here at the bar attachment, and it's kind of obvious where our main components of the camera are. We've got a viewfinder, and then the lens would kind of be up towards the front here. Notable to say that this doubles as a weapon in several themes as well, notably the bazooka in Indiana Jones. So in that case, the tape deck probably not coming in very handy there. Now on our Adventurer's camera, this one's definitely a lot more stylized and direct application for film, kind of more obvious that this is a camera component. We do have our tape reels up on top, kind of separately molded there. Some 1x1 round shapes, and then on the back you'll notice that there's this little open slot with kind of this curvature cutout, and this will receive a 1x printed tile. The ones that came in the sets were 1x2, but it can kind of take anything that's that width. It'll just be sticking out a lot. So the play feature here, you load this card in the camera, and then it's as if the object you're recording is suddenly available for viewing. In this case, kind of this Johnny Thunder image. Yeah, I had that upside down. There's Johnny Thunder. So yeah, that was a fun feature from these adventure film cameras. And what I really like about this one is kind of the lens is almost recessed in that front area, which is something they are able to do with specifically molded part, dedicated camera element here. Doesn't have to cover a lot of other bases for other applications, but of course it does still fit in system. So that is a stud connection on the front, and we also have anti-stud on this side and a positive stud on this side. So great connections all around for the Adventurous camera. Again, a retired part, but definitely has its home here in the camera lineup. So let's finish up here by talking about some applications for our standard camera body. And over the years we've seen quite a few different iterations done by LEGO themselves. For the most part, this is just some variation of a 1x1 round stud size object. At the very least, we're going to get a 1x1 stud and a 1x1 tile to represent that lens there, and that does the job pretty well. Gives you that basic camera shape, and your standard market available cameras are going to be recognizable with that pretty easily. But being a 1x1 stud attachment, you can actually do quite a bit with this camera. Several different parts that have been introduced over the years make some really great lens modifications here. So this one, we'll start off with the 1x1 plate with a hole, and that's something you can put on first, and then the part on top of that is a 1x1 with this bar on top. So somewhat recent parts here. These weren't around when these cameras were first introduced, but they work quite well in together to make some other lens designs. Again, getting back to that recess for this particular part combination. If we want kind of more of a telephoto style lens here, a little bit longer, it also opens up. We have this kind of minifig hat or fez, and this has the hollow stud connection there. Again, we can pair up one of these hollow stud connections to get our building direction reversed and put this other element in the front and get a much deeper lens for that particular arrangement. Another one I had in the thumbnail was this kind of tripod style, and this one I did just for fun. This is actually a cooking pot on the camera body here, and then to get it attached I'm using a 1x2 curved plate with the holes, and then the tripod element actually goes into that plate instead of the bottom of the camera. So these cameras do have that bar attachment on the underside, but in this case I needed to kind of hide the pot handle, so doing that with the attachment there. And this, again, kind of a larger format lens would be something for specialty photography, lots of light gathering, maybe night photography would be the application for this camera. Then the last one I want to share today uses a very interesting element, and as far as rebrickable is concerned, this is known as 424. I don't think it's molded anywhere on the part itself, but it is kind of this Technic bushing And for a while I wasn't even sure this was an official LEGO element, but it is listed in some of the inventories on Rebrickable there, so I'm fairly certain that this was produced by LEGO at some point. Pretty sure it's retired now, but it has very useful connections, anti-stud connections, and the diameter on here, and I think it is the perfect application for a very straightforward and very recognizable camera lens. And in this case, just applying it directly to the camera body, 2 pieces, great looking camera, little mini build here, and an application for this part that I haven't necessarily seen anyone else do before. So on that note, I also wanted to mention the BrickPix YouTube channel has actually produced 2 videos with various camera builds, kind of some micro tutorials there. So if you want to see more camera designs, do check those out. There's pretty good looking studio camera in that video, so I'd recommend that. But for today, just looking at a little bit more of the part history behind a few of these dedicated camera molds, and then the application of this 424 Technic bushing to give you a really interesting camera lens that is hard to replicate at this scale with other designs. Here's another one. It's got the flash on it. I think this has been done in an official set. And really, you start looking at the other parts in our inventory here, the minifig head, 1x1 round brick, and the combinations. Just start lining these up. You can get quite a variety of different camera styles and models, swapping out lenses and all that kind of thing with just a couple parts. So that is some LEGO camera ideas, a little bit of the history, part release history there. I've got some Rebrickable links in the description if you want to check out which colors these parts are in, which sets those were released in through the years, and also that BrickPix video, 2 different videos with some more camera ideas. But that's all for today, looking at these LEGO cameras. Thanks for watching Brick System Brothers, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.